Have you ever wondered why, despite your kindness, people don't seem to respect you? You go out of your way to help others. You're always there when someone needs support, and yet, instead of appreciation, you often find yourself feeling unvalued, overlooked, or even taken advantage of. It's frustrating, isn't it? You were taught that kindness is a virtue, that being good to others will bring goodness back to you. But in reality, you sometimes feel like your kindness is working against you. Here's the hard truth. Kindness, when not balanced with self-respect and boundaries, can actually make people respect you less. It sounds unfair, but the way the world works isn't always as simple as we were taught. People don't respect you just because you're kind. They respect confidence, strength, and the ability to stand up for yourself. And unfortunately, when kindness is excessive or misplaced, it can signal weakness rather than virtue. Imagine this scenario. There's a person at your workplace or in your social circle who is always available to help. Anytime someone asks for a favor, they say yes. Need an extra shift covered? They'll do it. Need a ride home? No problem. Need to borrow money? They'll lend it, even if it's inconvenient for them. Now, how do most people start treating that person over time? Do they admire them? Do they respect them more for their generosity? Or do they simply assume this person will always be there, no questions asked? The harsh reality is that the more freely you give, the less people value what you give. This isn't to say that kindness is bad. Kindness is one of the most powerful and beautiful traits a person can have. But when kindness comes without limits, when you never say no, when you constantly prioritize others over yourself, it can send the message that your time, your effort, and even your presence aren't valuable. Psychologically, people tend to appreciate things that are scarce or require effort to obtain. If something is freely available all the time, it's taken for granted. This applies to objects, opportunities, and even human relationships. When you're always available, when you never set boundaries, when you never make others work for your time or respect your personal space, people subconsciously start seeing you as someone who doesn't need to be valued. Now think about the people you truly respect in your life. What qualities do they have? Do they say yes to everything? Do they let others walk over them? Probably not. Instead, they likely have a strong sense of self. They know when to be kind and when to set a firm boundary. They help others, but not at their own expense. They're generous, but they also command respect. So why is it that so many kind-hearted people struggle with this balance? Because from a young age, many of us are taught that being nice is the key to making friends, getting opportunities, and being liked. And while kindness does build connections, respect requires something more: strength. It requires self-respect first. It requires knowing your worth and ensuring others recognize it too. If you've ever felt like your kindness isn't getting you the respect you deserve, it's time to take a step back and reassess. The goal isn't to stop being kind, it's to be kind in a way that also commands respect. And that starts with understanding the 5 key reasons why excessive kindness often backfires. Let's dive into them now. Reason 1. People take you for granted. Have you ever felt like the more you do for people, the less they appreciate it? You go out of your way to help, always being there when someone needs you, yet instead of gratitude, you're met with indifference. Worse, people start expecting your kindness as if it's their right, not something you're choosing to give. This happens because when you're always available, people begin to devalue your efforts. It's human nature. We don't appreciate what comes too easily. When something is rare, it's seen as valuable. But when it's always there, it becomes ordinary, even expected. How overkindness leads to being overlooked. Imagine this. You have a friend or colleague who constantly needs favors. At first, they seem grateful when you help, but over time, the gratitude fades. Instead of a warm thank you, it becomes, "Can you do this for me?" As if it's a given that you'll say yes. They stop seeing your help as a generous act and start treating it like a duty. Now, contrast this with someone who rarely does favors but sets clear boundaries. When they do something kind, it stands out, it's noticed, it's valued. Why? Because scarcity creates appreciation. Think about water. If you live in a place where clean water flows from the tap all day, you don't think twice about it. But if you were in a desert with no water in sight, every drop would feel precious. The same principle applies to kindness. When it's always available, it's taken for granted. Signs that people are taking you for granted. If you're wondering whether people are starting to devalue your kindness, look for these signs. People stop saying thank you. They just expect you to help. They only contact you when they need something. They don't check in or offer support in return. They assume you'll always say yes. If you ever say no, they act surprised or even upset. You feel drained and unappreciated. Instead of feeling good about helping, you feel exhausted. How to stop being taken for granted without losing your kindness. The solution isn't to stop being kind, it's to be kind with boundaries. Here's how. Start saying no when necessary. You don't have to explain yourself. A simple, "I can't do that right now" is enough. Make people earn your help. This doesn't mean being selfish, but if someone only reaches out when they need you, see if they're willing to give back too. Stop over-giving. Give when you truly want to, not out of obligation or guilt. Prioritize yourself. Your time and energy matter. Helping others shouldn't come at the cost of your well-being. When you set boundaries, something powerful happens. People start respecting you more. Instead of assuming your kindness, they appreciate it. And most importantly, you begin to respect yourself more too. In the next section, we'll explore another major reason why excessive kindness can backfire. You might unknowingly come across as weak. Let's dive in. Reason 2, you come across as weak. It may sound harsh, but the reality is this. If you're overly kind without setting boundaries, people may start seeing you as weak rather than compassionate. Society often associates kindness with softness, and while being kind is a strength, it can be perceived as a lack of confidence or self-respect if not balanced correctly. Why? Being too nice can make you look weak. People respect those who stand up for themselves, voice their opinions, and assert their boundaries. If you're always agreeable, always accommodating, and never push back, others might subconsciously assume that you lack inner strength. They may not intentionally disrespect you, but they won't view you as someone whose presence demands attention and appreciation. Think about highly respected individuals. Are they always the first to bend over backward for others? Probably not. Instead, they show kindness with authority. They help when it aligns with their values, but they also know when to say no. The nice guy syndrome effect. There's a concept known as nice guy syndrome, where a person is excessively nice in hopes of gaining approval or respect. However, the opposite usually happens. People see them as desperate for validation rather than genuinely kind. Signs you may be giving off this impression. You apologize too much, even for things that aren't your fault. You avoid confrontation at all costs, even when you're being treated unfairly. You let others dictate your decisions instead of asserting your own choices. You feel guilty for saying no, even when you're overwhelmed. Why? Assertiveness commands respect. The key to being kind yet respected is assertiveness. Assertiveness means standing up for yourself without aggression, saying no when necessary without guilt, expressing your thoughts and feelings honestly, demanding fairness in relationships, whether personal or professional. People naturally gravitate toward those who have self-respect. When you assert yourself, you show others that while you are kind, you are not someone to be walked over. How to avoid looking weak while staying kind. Set clear boundaries. If someone disrespects you, politely but firmly correct them. Speak with confidence. Even if you're unsure, practice sounding certain in your speech. Avoid being overly apologetic. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry, can I ask a question?" say, "I have a question." Be okay with people disagreeing with you. Not everyone has to like you, and that's perfectly fine. Say no when needed. The more you say yes to things that drain you, the less time you have for things that truly matter. When you implement these strategies, people will no longer see you as too nice. They will see you as a person of value, strength, and integrity. In the next section, we'll explore another dangerous consequence of unchecked kindness, how it attracts manipulative people. Stay tuned. Many people assume that being kind will attract good-hearted individuals, but the reality is that excessive kindness can actually attract manipulative people. When you are always willing to help, always saying yes, and never setting firm boundaries, you become an easy target for those who seek to take advantage of others. Manipulators look for individuals who are overly accommodating because they know they can push their limits without facing resistance. They exploit kindness, using guilt, emotional pressure, or even flattery to get what they want, while giving little to nothing in return. Think about a time when someone only reached out to you when they needed something. They were friendly, they acted appreciative, but as soon as they got what they wanted, they disappeared. If this pattern repeats, it's a sign that your kindness is being used rather than valued. Manipulative people thrive on the fact that you don't want to say no. They know you feel guilty refusing help, so they keep pushing, expecting more and more. Eventually, you find yourself drained, wondering why you are always the one giving while they take without a second thought. The problem is that many kind-hearted people struggle to recognize manipulation because they assume that others think and feel the same way they do. They believe that if they treat people with respect and generosity, it will be reciprocated. But not everyone operates with the same values. Some see kindness as a weakness to be exploited rather than a virtue to be respected. This is why some of the kindest individuals often end up in one-sided relationships, whether in friendships, family, or the workplace, where they are constantly giving and rarely receiving. If you feel like you are being taken advantage of, ask yourself these questions. Do certain people only contact me when they need something? Do they act offended or distant when I say no? Do I feel drained after interacting with them rather than fulfilled? If the answer is yes, it may be time to reassess those relationships. The best way to protect yourself is by setting clear boundaries. It's okay to help others, but there should be limits. If someone only values you for what you can do for them, they do not truly respect you. Learn to recognize manipulation tactics such as guilt-tripping, passive aggression, or excessive flattery followed by a request. When you become aware of these behaviors, you can respond with confidence rather than falling into the trap of endless giving. Being kind does not mean being a doormat. True kindness involves discernment, knowing when to give and when to step back. When you stop allowing yourself to be manipulated, you will notice a shift. The people who truly care about you will stay, and the ones who are only there for their own benefit will drift away. And that's a good thing. In the next section, we'll talk about another hidden danger of excessive kindness, how it can lead you to suppress your own needs, leaving you exhausted and unfulfilled. One of the biggest dangers of being overly kind is that you start suppressing your own needs without even realizing it. You become so focused on making others happy, helping them, and avoiding conflict that you forget to prioritize yourself. Over time, this leads to exhaustion, resentment, and a sense of losing yourself in the process. At first, it might feel good to be the person everyone relies on. You take pride in being dependable, in always showing up for others. But as time passes, you start noticing that your own needs are constantly pushed aside. Maybe you cancel your plans to accommodate someone else. Maybe you keep quiet about something that bothers you because you don't want to upset anyone. Maybe you feel drained, but still force yourself to say yes because you don't want to disappoint people. The problem with this pattern is that it creates an unbalanced life. When you always put others first, you leave no space for yourself. Your goals, dreams, and well-being get buried under the weight of everyone else's expectations. And the worst part? Many people won't even notice your sacrifice. They will continue expecting more from you because you've conditioned them to believe that you will always be there no matter what. This can lead to feelings of frustration and even resentment. You might start to feel unappreciated, wondering why no one is there for you in the same way you are for them. But the truth is, people follow the standard that you set. If you never prioritize yourself, they won't either. If you never voice your needs, no one will assume you have any. The first step to breaking this cycle is recognizing that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's not wrong to say no when you're overwhelmed. It's not cruel to set boundaries and expect people to respect them. In fact, the more you honor your own well-being, the more others will learn to respect you as well. Start by checking in with yourself. When was the last time you did something purely for your own happiness? Are you constantly exhausted from giving too much? Do you hesitate to express what you truly want? If so, it's time to shift your mindset. Being kind should never mean neglecting yourself. True kindness includes self-care, self-respect, and the courage to stand up for your own needs. In the next section, we'll talk about one of the biggest misconceptions about kindness, the belief that it automatically earns respect. The truth is, respect is not given freely, it is earned. Let's explore why being kind alone is not enough to gain the respect you deserve. Many people believe that kindness automatically earns respect, but the truth is, respect is not given simply because you are nice. While kindness is an admirable quality, it is not the determining factor in how people perceive and treat you. Respect is earned through confidence, assertiveness, and the ability to stand up for yourself when necessary. If kindness is not balanced with strength, people may appreciate you, but not necessarily respect you. Think about the people you truly respect in your life. Are they just kind, or do they also have a strong presence? Do they set boundaries? Do they command attention when they speak? Chances are the people you respect the most are those who are not only good-hearted, but also firm in their values. They do not allow others to walk over them, and they do not seek approval through excessive generosity. One of the main reasons kindness alone does not guarantee respect is that people often associate respect with strength. If you are always agreeable, always willing to accommodate, and never assert yourself, people may subconsciously view you as someone who lacks confidence. This does not mean they dislike you, but they may not see you as someone whose opinions, time, or presence need to be valued as highly as those who assert themselves. Another reason kindness alone falls short in earning respect is that people respect consistency more than just generosity. If someone is kind but also firm in their boundaries, others know where they stand. However, if someone is overly kind but easily swayed, their words and actions may not hold as much weight. People respect those who are reliable, who stay true to their values, and who are not afraid to say no when necessary. If you have ever felt that people like you but do not respect you, ask yourself, do I hesitate to speak up when I disagree? Do I prioritize others' comfort over my own well-being? Do I feel like people take my kindness for granted? If so, the solution is not to stop being kind, but to combine kindness with assertiveness. Speak with confidence, set boundaries, and make it clear that your time and effort are valuable. When you do this, people will begin to see you as someone who is both kind and worthy of deep respect. In the next section, we'll discuss how to shift from being too nice to being respected while maintaining your kindness. This final step is where you regain control over how people perceive and treat you, ensuring that your kindness is truly appreciated rather than overlooked. If you've realized that your kindness has been costing you respect, the good news is that you can change this without becoming cold or unkind. The key is to balance your kindness with strength, confidence, and self-respect. People respect those who value themselves, set boundaries, and stand firm in their decisions. When you begin to make these shifts, you'll notice a dramatic difference in how others treat you. The first step is to set clear boundaries. Being kind doesn't mean saying yes to everything. Learn to recognize when a request crosses your limits and say no without guilt. If someone only contacts you when they need something, start questioning whether that relationship is truly beneficial. Your time and energy are valuable, and you should protect them just as much as you give them. Next, practice assertiveness. Many people confuse assertiveness with aggression, but they are not the same. Being assertive simply means that you speak up for yourself, express your needs, and make decisions based on what is best for you rather than just pleasing others. If someone takes advantage of your kindness, call it out calmly but firmly. Let people know that while you are kind, you are not weak. Another important shift is to stop seeking validation through kindness. If you are kind because you truly want to be, that's wonderful. But if you are kind because you fear rejection, criticism, or making people uncomfortable, you are giving away your power. True respect comes when people see that you are kind out of choice, not because you are afraid of losing their approval. It's also crucial to choose the right people to invest your kindness in. Not everyone deserves your generosity. Surround yourself with those who appreciate and respect your efforts, and distance yourself from those who constantly take without giving anything in return. Real relationships are built on mutual support, not one-sided sacrifice. Finally, start valuing yourself the way you want others to value you. Respect begins with self-respect. If you constantly put yourself last, others will too. If you let people walk over you, they will assume it's acceptable. But when you prioritize your own well-being, set standards for how you expect to be treated, and carry yourself with confidence, others will follow that example. Being kind is a beautiful quality, but it should never come at the expense of your self-worth. The most respected people are those who are compassionate yet strong, generous yet wise, helpful yet firm in their boundaries. When you embody this balance, you'll no longer have to worry about whether people respect you, they simply will. Now, it's time to take action. Start small. Set one boundary today. Say no to something that doesn't serve you. Stand up for yourself when needed. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Respect isn't demanded, it's cultivated. And when you align your kindness with confidence, you command the respect you deserve effortlessly. That brings us to the final and most important step, taking action. Understanding why excessive kindness can lead to a lack of respect is only the beginning. The real change happens when you start applying what you've learned in your daily life. If you want people to respect you while still being kind, you must shift the way you interact with others, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Start by setting one small boundary today. It could be something as simple as saying no to a request that drains your time or energy. Notice how people react. Some may respect it immediately, while others might push back. Stay firm. The more you reinforce your boundaries, the more others will learn to respect them. Next, work on your confidence. Speak with clarity, maintain strong body language, and practice self-respect in your interactions. People respond to energy. When you carry yourself with certainty, they will naturally see you as someone to be valued and respected. Let go of the fear of disappointing others. You are not responsible for making everyone happy at the cost of your own well-being. True kindness isn't about self-sacrifice. It's about mutual respect and consideration. When you respect yourself, the right people will follow, and those who only valued your kindness for their own benefit will fade away. And that's okay. Most importantly, be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight, but every small step you take toward balancing kindness with strength will bring you closer to being the person who is not only kind, but also deeply respected. Start now, take control, and watch as your relationships transform for the better. That's it. You now have the knowledge and awareness to change the way your kindness is perceived. But knowledge alone isn't enough. The real transformation happens when you start applying these principles in your daily life. It's time to take action and reclaim the respect you deserve while staying true to your kind nature. The first step is self-awareness. Pay attention to your interactions. Notice when you say yes out of obligation rather than genuine willingness. Recognize when someone is taking advantage of your kindness. Acknowledge moments where you suppress your thoughts just to keep the peace. Awareness is the foundation of change. Next, start small. You don't have to overhaul your personality overnight. Choose one thing to work on today. Maybe it's setting a boundary, asserting your opinion in a conversation, or simply pausing before saying yes to a request. The more you practice, the stronger your confidence will grow. Remember, respect starts with you. If you carry yourself with self-respect, others will follow. Be firm in your boundaries, be kind on your own terms, and trust that the right people will appreciate and admire you for both your generosity and your strength. You don't have to choose between being kind and being respected. You can and should have both. Now, go out there and embody the balance of kindness and power that commands true respect. It all comes down to one simple truth. Kindness without boundaries leads to exploitation, but kindness with strength leads to respect. You now have everything you need to shift how others perceive and treat you. If you allow disrespect, people will continue to take advantage of your kindness. If you enforce your boundaries and hold yourself with confidence, people will respect you. You are in control of how much you give and to whom. Start applying these lessons today. Set one boundary. Say no when necessary. Speak with confidence. Prioritize yourself without guilt. The more you do this, the more natural it will become. And soon, you'll notice a powerful shift in how people respond to you. Your kindness is a gift, but only when given wisely. Be generous, but not at the cost of your self-respect. Be compassionate, but never at the expense of your own well-being. When you master this balance, you won't have to ask for respect. It will come to you effortlessly. Now, the choice is yours. Will you continue letting kindness be mistaken for weakness? Or will you step into your power and earn the respect you truly deserve? The answer lies in your actions. It's time to make the shift. This is where your journey begins. You now have the understanding, the tools, and the mindset needed to transform how people see and treat you. But the real challenge is in applying what you've learned, not just for a day or a week, but as a lifelong commitment to self-respect. Change won't happen overnight. At first, you might feel uncomfortable setting boundaries or saying no. Some people may resist, especially those who were used to benefiting from your endless kindness. But stay firm. The people who truly value you will respect the new version of you, the one who is both kind and strong. As you implement these changes, keep reminding yourself, kindness is not weakness. Respect starts from within. Boundaries protect your generosity. Self-worth is non-negotiable. These principles will guide you as you step into a version of yourself that commands respect without sacrificing kindness. Now it's up to you. Will you take the first step today? The sooner you start, the sooner you'll see the shift. Begin now. Your future self will thank you.